Welcome to PTC Cast, episode 46. Today, Chris and I talk about... Welcome to...
Out of air.
I had to breathe. Welcome to PTC Cast, episode 46. Today, Chris and I, we talk about focus. We talk about dialing it in the gym. So that way you're actually getting towards the things that you want to do, man. So you're actually paying attention and getting to the places that you want to go. We also answer a question at the end about being embarrassed or uncomfortable in the gym, which I would highly recommend you stick around for. The PTC Cast is brought to you by ProgressThroughChange.com, which has been recently renovated by this big fella right here. So I would honestly really recommend that you check it out. You can get our free 4 Easy Habits for Fat Loss guide download for free. It's like a 10, 11, 12 PDF page that, man, you can read while you're drinking your morning coffee, while you're taking your morning poop, whatever it is, man. I mean, you can knock that sucker out, and I really can't express the amount of value that we provide within that little document, man. It's a 5-minute read that if you apply, I am 100% confident you can make change in your body, a significant amount of change. And it's free. It takes 2 minutes to consume. The hard part's applying it, but that's on you.
Yep, it's
so,
all on you.
Man, enjoy the show. Something we were just talking about off air before we got on that I would really like to actually cover today, funny enough. Goal setting on every scale. So I feel like when we think of goal setting, it's like, if you're someone just starting to work out, maybe that goal is like lose 50 pounds. Maybe it's, bench press 225. Maybe it's squat 315. I don't know. Yeah. Whatever that is for that person. But I feel like when we think of goals, we tend to think macro. We think big. We think long term. We think like, I feel like if someone used the word goals, we think end of the game. Like what's the finish line? What's the 100% completion? What's it, But to me, goal setting should be almost like checkpoints, right? And and I feel like you can break that down to every point. And I would like you to go into what we were kind of just talking about before we hopped on here, and how you approach that with running the other day.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So I've just been feeling like, I wanted to run. I didn't want to run like I was when I was losing all that weight, like very long distances. It's just going to
turn into like, what's Chris doing this week? Motocross, riding a bike,
running,
fighting,
running
boxing.
Yeah,
running. Yeah, exactly.
Bro, look at my knuckles from boxing.
Oh my God, dude. Next week, crochet. The next week, water polo.
Who knows, man? Who knows?
Yeah.
But ever since I started lifting again, I've been noticing that my body has been looking better. Yep. And, I've been wanting to get leaner. And so I was like, you know what? I kind of want to run. Let me go try it out. And I didn't want to run like I was last time where, I was running like 6-7 miles.
Sure.
Because, the toll that it took on my body was absolutely horrible.
Yeah.
And, I ended up just running, I think it was 2.4 miles total. And I was telling Alex, like, my hips are absolutely destroyed. I've been walking like a penguin.
You didn't really work your way into it. You just
absolutely not. But, so I was listening to the Andrew Huberman podcast, and they were talking about, or him and a guest that he had on, I don't remember her name. They were talking about motivation and goal setting and focus and, how you can, I guess, bring those together in order to, achieve goals. And some of the points or techniques that they were saying that could be used was in order to focus on that specific goal. You need to it needs to be specific and something that isn't, I guess, confusing. So for maybe a runner, it's hitting that 1 mile distance or whatever it is, just specific and
tangible.
Yeah, tangible. And what Alex was saying at the beginning of this podcast, breaking it up into little goals, they talk about that too. So, for example, if you're running a mile and I don't know, let's say 1/8 of the mile, there's something that you can like stare at, right, to bring your focus on, whether that's a stop sign, a mail box or whatever.
Yeah, just like I'm going to get to that point.
Yeah, exactly. And what they were saying was to visualize a spotlight over, whatever it is that you're trying to focus on. And the idea behind that is that it pulls you into looking at that because the visual system is so powerful at, retaining your focus and pull you away from, the amount of time that it's taking, or the amount of distance that it is, or the amount of physical pain that you're going through, in the case of running or whatever.
Sure.
And so I wanted to try it out. And so I went to, I rode my bike to Destination Dallas. I got on a treadmill where I was actually able to pace myself, stay at a specific speed,
right,
and see exactly when I hit, that mile mark.
Right.
And, so I was just running, and I was staring at a machine the whole time. And what had happened was I kept on, raising the speed up and up and up until I had finished 1.4 miles in 9 minutes.
Ooh.
Yeah, without even feeling like, tired or, crazy fatigued or anything. And mind you, I haven't ran in, I think, maybe it's been more than a year, actually.
Yeah.
So like this was like, poof, like what the heck?
Kind of out of nowhere, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. And so I wanted to actually take it even more serious. So I took a 15-minute break, and I was shoveling candy in my mouth.
Doing a little intro workout, carbohydrates.
Yeah, because this was at like 6:30 a.m. So I had just woke up. I didn't have anything in my system. And then when I got back on the treadmill, I was like, okay, I really want to hit a sub 6-minute mile. When I was in high school, when I was cross country running, I hit a 5:40 mile time. Yeah, that was my best. So I was like, you know what? If I can hit 6 minutes. There's no fucking way that I can't hit 6 minutes. And I'm not gonna lie, I was already kind of fatigued, but yeah, I got on there. I put it to, I think like it was 11 or it was 10.5 miles an hour. I think I was running, or maybe it was 11. And, I was just staring at that one machine, and it was crazy. Like, so for the first half mile, it was pretty easy staring at that machine.
Yeah.
Like, I was just staring
You're
at it,
locked
just
in,
practicing
yeah.
my breathing. I was locked in. And then the pain from running, that previous 1.4 miles started setting in. And then, I was breathing heavier.
Yeah.
And so that lady was talking about, at the end of these races, these Olympic runners had to be more intentional with what they were focusing on.
Right.
Because, in the beginning of the race, maybe they can focus on something that's a quarter mile away.
Well, at the beginning of the race, they probably don't even need to focus because it's comfortable.
Yeah,
it's
exactly.
Easy,
yeah.
There's no resistance yet. There's no discomfort
Exactly.
yet. There's no need to focus yet. All you got to do is run.
Exactly.
But to your point, that second half, that's when shit counts.
Yeah.
That's when it gets hard. I mean, that's like what Arnold says. Like, you start counting once you're past the number you were at last week.
Yes.
Like your reps. Excuse me. Yeah. So you start counting your reps after you're at the number you did last week, because
Yeah.
those are the ones that count, right? It's the discomfort that counts. So sorry, go on.
No, you're good. And yeah, doing that, like, again, the idea is to draw your mind away from the discomfort and all of that.
Right.
In order to keep on going more and more. And so at the, toward the ends of these races, these Olympic level runners, they would just be more and more intentional with what they're focusing on and the intensity that they're focusing on that specific thing.
Yeah.
And so I remembered that, and I was like, okay, I have to focus on this. I can't look at the time. I can't look at, the amount of miles that I'm almost at. Like, I have to focus on this machine to draw myself away from, the pain that I'm experiencing right now. I have 3 minutes. I'm fucking tired of shit right now, but I have to keep on going. And so I was, boom, just like laser focused on it.
Yeah.
And what had happened, I don't know if you said that you have already, or you've felt like black, or you've seen like how it looks like to black out almost. And that's what started happening to me. Like, I literally started getting tunnel vision on that one
like you had
thing.
blinders on almost.
Yeah, it was so weird. And even though the pain was there, like, it wasn't as intense. And actually, I bumped it up to, I think, like 12 or 13 miles an hour. And I ended up sprinting, at the last, I think it was like 0.1 or 0.05 miles. And I finished a mile in 5 minutes, between 5 minutes and 55 seconds and 5 minutes or between 5 minutes and 55 seconds and 6 minutes.
Somewhere.
It was somewhere in between there.
That's awesome, man.
But yeah, that was crazy, dude.
Yeah. And so I really like the way you broke that down, and we kind of talked about like your focus within that. And so every one of my clients in person and online knows that every single set, every single exercise, there's a goal.
Yeah.
There's a goal, whether it's a number, whether it's a certain type of form, whether it's more reps, more weight, whatever that is. Like there's an active goal to be pursued every set. Every time you approach that bar, dumbbell, cable stack, machine, whatever it is, you should have a number in mind, a weight in mind, a technique in mind, a thing that you're trying to reach. So like my online clients, man, they're so used to reading me type out aim to beat XYZ. And XYZ is the 3 sets you did last week.
Yeah.
So last week, if you went 12, 11, 10, today I'm looking to see 13, 12, 11. You know what I mean? Like that's, so whether it's a rep, whether it's weight, whatever it is, like when you break it down into those micro kind of goals, those micro checkpoints, right? So to your point of that, the focusing or the dialing in, like I've always noticed for me personally, whenever I squat or deadlift, not as much now since I'm still recovering and the load isn't really there, but I work out in my garage.
Yeah.
And I usually almost always have the door up. But if I'm squatting or deadlifting, I have to have the door down.
Yeah.
The door has to be down because I'm not super easily distractible, but I know that if a car goes by or somebody's kid is outside in the driveway, exactly, there's going to be something that's going to pull me from that focus. So I really liked how you said kind of like how you had blinders on. And to piggyback on that, and now I might just be like tangenting a little bit, but it's like, you know, let's take squats, for example, right? Let's say you got like 10 reps of squats to do. 1's easy, 2's easy, 3's easy, 4's easy, 5's easy, 6 is easy, 7, 8, 9, 10 might be a little questionable, right? Because now we're fatigued and now we have to dial it in a little bit more. So on those last, 4 or 5 reps, whatever it might be, depending on what you're working with or what rep range you're working in, like that's when you need those blinders. That's when you need to be dialed in, because that's when your knees want to cave in. That's when your lower back wants to tuck under. That's when you want to just dip the bar out from under you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's like it's in those last few reps, those last few minutes of whatever. That's when it counts the most. That's when you have to keep it dialed in. So I think that's a really great way to make that happen, is to see like, okay, can I drown out everything else? Any other whatever it is. I mean, whether it's music or a person or something else in the gym, like how do you line that up? How do you dial that up? So I know for me, the way that I do that is every single time I approach any exercise, or any of my clients do, there's a goal, there's a number, there's an approach.
Yep.
And then to stack on top of that, you know that to hit that number, you're gonna have to be just as intense as you were the previous week. And maybe even hit it a little harder. You're going to have to work a little bit tighter to keep those shoulder blades back if you're bench pressing on your last few reps. You're going to have to work a little bit harder to keep those elbows pinched at your side if you're hitting your last few reps of curls. Like, that's when it matters. You know, people think like, oh, maybe I'll do 10 reps and then I'll get a couple cheat reps just to like fatigue my bicep more, to get more out of it. And it's like, you're not getting more out of it. You're getting less out of it.
Yeah.
The way you get more out of it is being so damn adamant that all that's working on that bicep curl is your bicep. And even if last week, let's say you did 10 reps and this week you did 10 and a half. Well, if you couldn't even do 10 and a half last week, then 10 and a half is progress. You did more, you know? But part of that is keeping those blinders on and staying so anchored within it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I know I like the idea of, you know, keeping these blinders on, because that's almost what, you know, happens. Like, you know, things start blacking out. Yeah. Or, you know, just
they fade away.
You don't. They fade away.
It's like focus with a camera.
Yeah,
yeah. You got your iPhone out. You want it to focus on something. You tap that.
The portrait mode.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Everything else gets blurry except for that one thing. That's what you want. Yeah, that's what you want. Yep.
Yeah. Some things that I know have helped me when it comes to that is the one, you know, focusing on, and that's not for running either. Like the strongest I have been on squats. So I squatted 965. And I remember, I think it was 3 months before I squatted that. I don't remember who it is that I heard this from, but you know what? No. It was Julius Oliveris, or I think that's his name. Right now, like, he just squatted 1,000 something raw, and he's only like, again, like 25 or 20. I think he's 24 maybe.
Wow.
Like, just a freak. And he says that when he squats, he focuses on one thing, whether it's, the top of a machine or, a crack in the wall or something like that.
Yeah.
And
something to keep your eyes on.
yeah, exactly. And I started implementing that in my squatting. And I remember there's this one, like, it looked like somebody grabbed their knuckle and just bot into the wall.
So it's just like a
little dent in the wall.
Like the one that's kind of next to your head, right?
Yeah, it was like that, just like a little bit bigger. Yeah. And what would happen was, as soon as I got, wrapped and I grabbed the bar, and as soon as I looked up, boom, I'm looking at that dot.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter who's around me. It doesn't matter what cameras are recording me.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if there's somebody like right here in front of me. I literally do not see anything except that dot.
Yeah.
And that has been a huge help when it comes to the pain, the suffering, and the intensity of those sets, because all of those distractions are now gone.
Yeah.
All I'm seeing is that, and then knowing in my head, all right, let's squat this shit.
Yep.
And that's the same for bench. That's the same for deadlifts.
Yeah.
And honestly, all of my accessory lifts.
Yeah.
The intensity or the ability to focus does deteriorate.
Yeah.
Like, over the course of the workout.
It
but
gets harder as you go.
Yeah, definitely. But there's that. The second thing is, obviously caffeine. Mm-hmm. I would take, or for the very intense workouts, and I'm not saying for people to do this, but I would take just a bunch of caffeine, and that has definitely helped with being able to focus, defocus, and then focus back up.
Yeah.
At the flip of a switch.
Don't lose what you were saying.
Yeah.
But a quick tangent to that, man. Like, everybody always is asking me about pre-workout, and I'm like, man, black coffee, brother. That's all. That's it, man.
You've always preached to me black coffee.
If you can learn how to dial it in with just a little bit of caffeine, oh man. I mean, look,
just a little bit.
Yeah. And a tangent from my tangent, man. Back in the day, I used to have this really bad bad habit. I would train like 12 to 14 people in a row on Mondays or Wednesdays. And so I really like filled my day up. And what I just started doing, man, is I was just drinking black coffee all day. So all day I was fasted on black coffee, but that was a bad habit that I'm not recommending anyone do. But where I'm going with that is it's just the way that caffeine dials you in, man. Like it was like I was on. I was on all day. I could go 14 sessions in a row and just be on. And so do not abuse caffeine. But
you can use it as a tool.
I was going to say, if you're looking for a solid pre-workout, I mean, use it as a tool, man. It's for a lot of people, it digests okay. It's simple. It's easy. It's not too hard. And to your point, like, it can really help you dial that point in. So go on. We got caffeine. We got finding the point on the wall.
Some of the stimulants in pre-workout does help, but after a while, they, if you're taking too much, they do get kind of freaky.
Sure.
Like, I don't like feeling anxious after a workout or shit like that. So I like that's why I like the idea of the black coffee,
right?
Because it doesn't have those stimulants that make you feel like you're on crack,
right?
And then the next thing is music. Being intentional with your music. For the very intense sets, obviously, have something to match that energy.
Sure.
And let me think.
It's funny that you say that, because what I have found is, for me, music in the gym, it matters like approaching the set, but the second I start, I don't know what the fuck I'm listening to.
That's so true.
So it's more, to me, it's more about like the approach to it. Maybe if you're like running or something, that might be different, but to me, it's like, okay, if I'm going to deadlift or squat, like, I'm going to pull some of that, dark side of the force energy, and I'm going to, put on some Rob Bailey or something like that and try to go hard. But, it's more, I find that I'm like, I used to be a lot worse about it, but, I'm sitting there going through Spotify, and, you'll skip 20 songs until you find the one. And then finally you find the one, you approach the bar, but the second that first rep goes, man, I don't know what the hell's in my ear. It could be smooth jazz. It could be Taylor Swift. It doesn't matter, because it's about the approach, but it's not necessarily during. So
I think what happens are these things help us get into that specific state.
Yep.
For us to perform well. I don't think that, I think that as soon as we start doing the performance, I don't really think it matters unless it's like an overtime thing, like running.
Yeah.
But those things help bring us into that mode of, I don't know, focus or intensity or, whatever it is.
Right. I know on the focus trend, a really big one for me is being very careful with your phone.
Yeah.
I know, some people will say just no phones at all. And I'm not necessarily opposed to that. I do track my workouts in Google Sheets, and I do use my music through Spotify. So I try to be very adamant with that. But the way that I kind of keep that in check is I time my rest periods. So I don't really think rest periods are that important in the grand scheme of things. If you like to rest for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes, 1 minute, I don't think it matters in the grand scheme of things so long as you're consistent. And sure, depends on your goals, what's optimal, what's not. But I don't necessarily look at rest period as a reason or a mechanism to progression unless you're being very specific. But where I'm more so trying to go with that is keeping pace. Keeping pace. It's like sets over, start my watch timer. Sets over, start my watch timer. That way, even if I do happen to, whatever, let's say I'm inputting some reps and then, my brain takes me to Instagram or Snapchat or Gmail or something. Well, as soon as that timer hits, I got to put it down and go. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because then it keeps me sort of in that loop. So no phones for me is a big one. And another big one for me, man, is like everybody on this planet is busy. Yeah. You know what I mean? And so to me, give yourself a specific time to block out your workout. So if you got an hour, you got an hour. That way you're not dicking around, you're not socializing, maybe a little bit, but you're not using those things as distraction because hey, I only have 60 minutes blocked for this period and I have 6, 7, 8 exercises to go through or something like that. So I better be going. I better be on point, So I think when you give yourself kind of that box of an hour, 90 minutes, 75 minutes or whatever to work within, and then you have that rest period timer or something to kind of keep yourself on that pace, to me, that's really helped me dial it in so far as focus goes.
Yeah, and to that point, when I took that long break from working out, that was one of the things that actually I stopped, or that was one of the things that contributed to me not liking working out anymore, was the fact that I would let these distractions, come into my workout, whether, like you said, that's, scrolling through Instagram, scrolling through Snapchat. Yeah. I got into a habit to where as soon as I was done with my set, boom, pull up my phone and just about not even looking at a damn thing. And then,
and literally I didn't, not looking at anything, just scrolling. Yeah. You don't even know what you're looking at.
Exactly. Yeah. That and the talking to people, like I would just let people come and talk to me, and there were some people there that I would let talk to me for 5 fucking minutes, and it was like, okay, well, now that we're done talking, where am I? You know,
and I don't mean to ever sound like a jerk or like holier than thou or anything, but I've always felt like you have to be ruthless with your time. Yeah. And I think that part of that is being okay with saying like, all right, I got to get a set, or starting to kind of walk another direction to end the conversation. You know what I mean? Obviously, you want to be polite and you never want to be a jerk or anything like that.
Yeah, but definitely.
To me, some people think it's rude or mean or something like that to walk away from a conversation or to say, hey, I got something to do. But look, man, at the end of the day, again, if you're blocking in that hour, if your goals are important, if we're sitting there looking at this hierarchy of values or what matters to you, it's like, look, hopefully your health is somewhere in the top 5, right? So I would hope that wherever that health is outweighs or is more important to you than maintaining a very shallow surface level gym bro relationship with somebody who wants to come shoot the shit with you for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Yeah, exactly. And, that's no knock on anyone. To some people, the gym is a social hour, and that's okay. But man, I've literally watched people, sit there and talk to someone, or, 2 people have
for
a conversation.
15, 20 minutes.
No, longer. I'll start a session with someone and they're still on the same machine having the same conversation when I start a session with the next person. Fuck. So we're talking at least an hour. Yeah. And again, that's great for them. More power to them. If that's how they want to spend their time, that's great. But if you're someone who's in there with purpose, with intent, with trying to make something happen, you have to be okay with being like, hey, no, I got to, hey, good to see you. Have a great rest of your workout. You know what I mean? But I got to keep moving, or, you put your headphones in and, and this might sound bad, but man, anytime I do happen to work out at the gym that I train out of, my hat is on down, and the brim is down, and the headphones are in, and I'll smile and wave, but then boom, the head goes right back down. It just helps me stay a little bit more dialed in.
Yeah. I started doing that, not with the hat, but, I don't talk to people really more in the gym. And when I do, like you said, I'm not an asshole or anything, but, I'm smiles, I'm dapping them up, having a quick, maybe 15, 30-second conversation. Yeah. And then it's, all right, man, got to go. Hope you have a good rest of your workout. Yep. I'm going to hit this set.
Yep. I'm here to work.
Yeah, exactly. And the difference in the level of intensity, enjoyment, And anything else of my training sessions has just gone way up. You know, it's way better.
Yeah.
And it makes me like think back to people like Joe Mackey, you know, the bodybuilding deadlifter, that bad motherfucker.
Sure. You got to explain who that is for who might not know.
Yeah. He's a IFBB pro that is getting popular in powerlifting now because he is a freak on the deadlift. He came out of nowhere and deadlifted 900 pounds, being coached by Josh Bryant for a couple months. And by the way, he's actually not going to be competing in bodybuilding or I guess soon. So he made a post that he's going to be dedicating specifically to strength training.
Oh, wow.
So I'm excited to see,
Okay.
you know, what's going to happen with that.
Very cool.
But where I was going with that is you will not get more than maybe 5 to 10 words from him.
Yeah, he's there
at
to
the
work.
gym. Yeah, and if more times than not, what'll happen is if you try to talk to him, he'll either just fist bump you and boom, or he'll go no, you know, just no.
Yeah.
He won't even say no. He'll just be like,
Yeah. Can't right now. Sorry.
yeah, and again, super cool ass guy, but he's there to work.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you know, the results show.
Yeah, and to me, if somebody wants to, take offense to that or make some sort of assumption off that person because of that or because of the way they're handling their time or their focus or intent in the gym, right? To me, that's on that person.
Yeah,
Like,
I think so too.
I understand that it's a social club for some people, but for others, it's not. You know. So, anyways, not to take that point any farther than it needs to be. But to kind of reel that all back in a little bit. So
Real quick. That day that he deadlifted 900 pounds,
Yeah.
he didn't say one word to anybody.
the whole day.
I'm dead serious. He didn't say one word to anybody. And there was, by the end of him finishing that after he deadlifted, he started talking. But
of course.
up to that deadlift, maybe there was like 25 people, surrounded.
Yeah.
Not one word, dude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
just there's that.
Yeah, no, I think that's awesome, man. And that was like, to some people, it's just different. And I'm in no way, shape, or form comparing myself to him. But I was working out in the gym that I train out of the other week, which is not my garage gym, but a gym where I do my business out of. And there's a couple guys there that I see pretty often. And I happen to be training legs, and I'm again not usually working out there. And as I was leaving and saying bye, they were like, said something about like trying to match your intensity today or your intent today. And I was like, no, man, this is every day.
Yeah.
This is every day. Like every day is like, no, we keep the head down. Every day we watch the rest periods. Every day we're trying to stay dialed in, So I don't know if it's maybe just a different, like, purpose is the wrong word and maybe sounds corny, but
Maybe like intentionality.
Sure. And I think the gym is something different for everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but true. Yeah.
But yeah, to your point, it's like, look, man, if you're a human being trying to pull 900 pounds off the ground, it's hard to, like, ask the soccer mom how little Johnny's doing 10 minutes before you do that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like it's that's a hard line to walk, Yeah, man. Okay, but to kind of wrap all that up and put a bow on it, we've got putting your blinders on for focus, right? So you pick a point, pick something to dial in, to focus on, to make it a little bit more tangible. We've got caffeine. We've got being mindful of phone usage.
Yeah.
Being mindful of socialization, being mindful of rest periods and timing, and blocking your time out in the gym. That way you're forced to be intentful with it.
Yep.
If not, you're going to fumble that whole workout.
And then music.
Yep. And music, just that way to keep yourself pulled in, having fun, dialed in, ready to go. Whatever you prefer, unless it's country music. Then that's a no.
I may be I may have
out
been
on that one.
Yeah.
All right. With that, let's go to questions.
All right.
Okay. I might have to think on this one for a second, but from my beautiful fiance, Lil Spicy Granny on Instagram, do you have any embarrassing gym stories? I've always been scared to go to the gym because I think I'll be judged. What kind of embarrassing gym stories you got? I have a couple that come to mind. One is not mine, but do you have any that you'd like to go with first?
So I have one that's kind of embarrassing and shameful on my part.
Okay.
And
Shameful.
Yeah,
Wow.
shameful, man.
Shameful.
Yeah. I think I had already graduated high school and I was working at Pack Fitness.
Okay.
But I would still work out at Prosper High School,
Yeah.
doing my powerlifting stuff.
Yeah.
And there's this one kid, I don't remember his name, but he was going to compete in powerlifting. And he started training with me.
Yeah.
And he was like, I think he was a freshman, but really freaking strong. And not only that, bro, like he was really motivated and
potential.
just a whole lot of potential, bro.
Yeah.
And like when I was obsessed with powerlifting during that time.
Right.
I was obsessed with like hurting myself in order to, I guess, get to a higher
Harder
point
is
in my
better,
next.
yeah.
That was my mentality with everything.
Yeah.
Or getting as close to an injury as possible.
Yeah.
So that I can. Yeah, it was stupid, but I forced that mentality on him.
Yeah.
And I remember we went to Pack Fitness to train, and we were doing leg press, and he was, repping it out like, crazy or whatever. And out of nowhere, his legs just gave out on him, and boom, it went down, and I couldn't push it up.
Yeah.
And so, for a good and this was, at the end of the leg press set. So we probably had already done, 5 sets of, 12 to 15 reps with pretty decent weight.
Yeah.
And the weight had just collapsed on him, and we were trying to get it off for a good 10, 15 seconds while he was like
just kind of
probably
folded under
absolutely exhausted.
Yeah.
Probably definitely freaked out.
Yeah.
And eventually he was able to, kick it up, and we were able to rack it. And he went off to the side of the wall, and he was shaking, man.
Yeah, man.
He was his hands were like this right here. Yeah. He had just gone through some kind of experience. And obviously, I felt bad at that moment. But what made me feel even worse was that was the last day that I saw him, that I ever talked to him.
Wow.
He completely, he just started ignoring me afterwards.
Out,
quit powerlifting.
Wow.
Yeah, man. That experience, I guess, fucked him over for powerlifting. And the reason why I say that was...
Dude, that just shows how much you've changed, though, because now somebody does a 10-pound dumbbell curl, and you're like, fuck yeah, man, that's awesome.
Dude.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That just shows how much you've changed.
Yeah,
but
man.
Go on, sorry.
It was stupid. And, I would see him in the hallways, or maybe, I guess I was still in high school, because, I would see him when I would go work out there,
sure.
Walk in the hallways.
Sure.
And, just wouldn't look at me, wouldn't anything. And it was embarrassing because, the fact that I would put somebody through that level of intensity and risk for, in my head, for his benefit.
Yeah.
And then it was shameful for the fact that, that led to him, quitting powerlifting, and who knows what, or if he even, got back into it later. But
bless you.
Thank you. Yeah, that was probably the worst gym experience.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that sucks, man.
Maybe that's coaching experience.
I mean, it happens, man. I maybe not to quite the same extent, but before I ever started training, my second gym partner was one of my best buddies in high school, and we would work out before school, and it was just one of those things, man, where the guy liked to work out. He was in great shape, strong guy, but not everybody, especially, when you're 16, 17, wants to be up at 5 a.m. and at the gym and getting after it. And so, we would plan on, get there 5:30, 6 a.m., 5 a.m., whatever. And he would almost never show. And it was just because whatever, the dude was sleeping in or just wasn't, and that's, looking back now, that's okay. Yeah. If that's not what he wants, that's okay. Maybe he shouldn't have planned and told me that he'd be there, but I mean, that's okay if it's not that serious to him, or if it's not, worth losing the sleep for, that's okay. But I remember he's still one of my great friends, but I remember that causing a bit of a riff at the time, because I was like, dude, you're not taking this seriously. You're not even showing up. You're not, you know what I mean? And it's well, yeah, because it's fucking lifting weights. It's not that serious, But when you have guys like you and I who, essentially at that time in our lives, I would say made it our identity, but also wanted so much more. I guess you assume or you think that to everyone else it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's not.
That
and that's
was
okay.
a mistake, yeah.
And I've seen that a lot through personal training over these last 6 years, man. It's like I have some people who like, intensity varies, man, but I have some people who like, and I'm not over exaggerating. I have zero doubt in my mind they had maybe 10 to 15 more reps in a set. But to them, that was it. And that was everything they had. And I have other people who like should have stopped 5 reps ago, but they swear they got another 2 in them. You know what I mean? So to everybody, like this thing is, it's different. It matters differently. They're willing to put in a different amount of effort and intensity. And like, that's okay. That's fine. It's different to everybody. But as far as like actual embarrassing stories goes, I've hit my head on bars a couple of different times.
I feel that.
I am happy to say, since I've started personal training, I have not gotten stuck under a bar, but I have been stuck under a bench press a couple of times before.
Oh yeah.
Probably 3-4 times, which then you're just kind of looking around waiting for somebody to save your life. And hopefully for you, it happens. It happened for me.
Yeah.
But stuff like that, man.
Better hope it happens.
Yeah, stuff like that, man. I mean, and I've done a lot of, I would say I've done more stupid things as a trainer than as like someone working out. But, when someone is embarrassed or worried about being judged in the gym, man, I can't express enough how much everybody there is just focused on themselves.
Yeah.
And if somebody is to judge, make a comment, and make a side look, dude, that's on that person, man. That's that person's own problem. Like, the one thing that you can say about the gym is that everybody in that place is there to get better, whatever that means to them. And to me, that's what's important. It doesn't matter whether you're at one end of the spectrum or the very other end. You could be Mr. Olympia, or you could be 400 pounds and have never touched a dumbbell before. Like, it doesn't matter to me. If you're in a gym, you're there to get better, whatever that means to you.
Exactly.
Another embarrassing story that's not my story, but a different training partner of mine. This is a not safe for work story, so maybe headphones in or something like that. But NSFW. Anyways, make a long story short, man, we're doing some dumbbell overhead extensions, and the bench we were using at the time was too tall, and so ingeniously we were like, okay, well, if we lean a dumbbell back, we can sit on the dumbbell. So you have the bench is back at an incline, and then there's a dumbbell that we're sitting on, and then you're leaning back on the rest of the incline.
Okay.
And so my buddy goes to do his set of overhead dumbbell extensions while sitting on a dumbbell on a leaned back bench. And he pulls the dumbbell down, and he sets it down on his leg, and he pinches the tip of he pinches the tip of the male appendage. And dude, peed blood for a week. Not for a week. I'm sorry, peed blood for a little bit. Had to wear his sweatpants and no underwear for a week. Yeah,
oh, bro.
Rough.
I'm hurting over here.
Rough time, man. Yeah, dude. But I mean, stuff like that happens to everybody, man. Like
I've never had that happen.
Well, but I just mean like we all like do silly things because it's like if you're there long enough, like it's gonna. I've had before where like, you have a cable attachment that's too heavy, and the attachment set at the top. You pull the pin out, and then the thing falls and hits you in the head. Like I've had that happen before.
I've actually had it happen to where I was doing a lat pull down, and during the whole workout, there was like flakes from the metal just flying on my head. So it was clearly broken.
Yeah.
And at like toward the and this was when I was putting like 45-pound plates
on the cable stack
thing too. So I was doing like probably like 350 pounds just on the cable thing.
Yeah.
And it snapped.
Oh,
like
man.
in the mid pull, and thankfully I didn't like fly back like I guess some people probably would, but it was definitely freaky, bro.
That's, for sure. This isn't necessarily like an embarrassing moment, but I know for some people about as far as the judgment thing goes, man, like sometimes I think that might be from a standpoint of like you're so out of shape, or you're so not there, or you're so whatever, you want to lose 5 pounds first, like whatever excuse it is that you might be making up in your head, it doesn't exist, man. Like just go. If you're concerned with like how strong everybody thinks you are, I'm not nearly as strong as I thought I would be by 24. If it's because you're not as shredded as you think everyone thinks you should be or are, I'm not as shredded as I thought I would be.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's one of those things, man, where it's like we all have these sort of expectations or ideals for ourselves. And if you let that expectation or ideal stop you because you feel like you're shy of it, you'll never get there.
Yeah.
You'll never get there.
You'll
never be ready. You'll never be prepared. You just have to go, man.
You just got to start.
You just have to go. Yeah. And look, man, as corny as it sounds, like if you are someone who's concerned about things like that, like you might want to be mindful when you're picking your gym. Like Destination Dallas might not be the gym for you, but Planet Fitness might be. Mm-hmm. And I know it's like the easiest internet rip in the world to make fun of Planet Fitness, but dude, it's like $10 a month. You have all of the equipment you could need for a standard body transformation. Like, and if you're someone who's concerned with that, go somewhere like that, man. Go to the YMCA, go somewhere where you feel a little bit more like accepted and ready. Because if that's something that's important to you, then that's okay. There's nothing wrong with needing an environment that's a little bit more conducive to you. And to be honest, man, I still have online clients who are several months in that still are working out at home because they're not quite ready for a gym yet.
Yeah.
So if you're someone who's even at that scale, man, start working out at home. Mm-hmm. Order a couple dumbbells, order a bench. I mean, you can get a pair of adjustable dumbbells on Amazon that each go up to 20 pounds and an adjustable bench and a pack of bands for like $200, $150. Go on Facebook Marketplace, you'll find it even cheaper. Yeah. There's always a way to start.
Yeah.
But that's one of those things, man, that like it's always going to be there. So eventually you just got to bite the bullet and go. Mm-hmm. And just like anything else, the first time's always the worst. And then after that, it ain't shit. Well, and I even say it's the worst. It's not even going to be as bad as you make it out to be in your head. But as soon as you show up and you start getting moving, it's going to be great. Mm. It's going to be great. Well, great is a relative term, but it's at least going to be better. It's going to be better than you expect it to be. Yeah. Once you go once, twice, 3 times, and then you're cruising, man. Mm. You know, just go. So let's wrap it up there, man.
Sounds good.
Thank you all for listening.